This is the Welcome to Minecraft video for you. You know who you are. Alright, so when you first load in, you're going to be looking at a world. It's going to look something like this, maybe. It's all randomly generated, so where the hills are, where the trees are, all of that's going to be different every time. And when you first load in, you're going to be surrounded by all of these blocky shapes, and all you're going to be able to do is punch them. Okay, so the first thing you need to do when you're playing in survival mode is to find some wood. Wood is found in trees, and you just punch it until it breaks, and it gives you a piece of wood. The default key mapping is the E key, E as in echo, pulls up your inventory. You get to see your armor slots, and you get to see your crafting grid. The crafting grid is really important, and most of the game takes place here. So, to start off, you take the wood, you put it in the grid, and then you spread it around to make a crafting table. Boom. Crafting table. One of the most important things in vanilla Minecraft ever, because you can't do anything else without it, really. Crafting table gives you a 3x3 area instead of the 2x2 area that you get in your main inventory. This lets you make most of the things in the game. And most of the things in the game are going to be made with wood. You're going to need a lot of wood. Alright. Get yourself some wood. You go to your crafting table. You right click on it to open it. You turn the wood into planks. You turn the planks into sticks. You make some more planks because you need them. And you make tools. Tools are almost all made with 2 sticks in the center to be the handle. Alright? And then are made with some material to form the head of the tool. So a wooden pickaxe is made like this. See how the shape kind of looks like that? You can sort them out like that, or you can just pull up a wiki online. Highly recommended. Alright, because we need so much wood, the first thing we're going to make is an axe. When you use the axe, it increases the speed with which you gather wood. As long as you don't stop clicking on it. You just hold down the click button and it'll do it. After you break all the wood in a tree, the leaves will start to disappear. See how it's making that irregular pattern and they're disappearing? And drop saplings. If the tree you were breaking is an oak tree, which you can tell from the wood, it can also drop apples, which are a source of food. Food is really important. It's one of the next things you need to get figured out on your first day in survival mode. Pigs can be killed and drop pork chops. You have to cook pork chops. To cook pork chops, you need to get stone. To get stone, you need a pickaxe. So we're going to go make another tool. Boom. Pickaxe. Alright. Stone is normally found 3 or 4 blocks down from the dirt levels. Ta-da! And we found some stone. Use a pickaxe to mine the stone. Until you have 8 of them. Actually, scratch that. Until you have 11 of them. You'll see why in a second. Don't dig too deep or too far because we don't have any way to make light and monsters spawn wherever it's dark. Okay, so now we got some stone. See, look, oh, it made an apple. It takes a second for them to all disappear. You can break them by hand if you want to, but you can just wait and go do other things while you're doing it. Alright, now we take the stone, and you make a box out of it, or a circle because everything's made out of squares, whatever you want to call it. That gives you a furnace. Furnace is also really important. Oh, hey, look at that, something else. All this grass, if you break the grass, it can drop seeds. Use the seeds to make wheat. We'll worry about that later. Alright, so to cook the pork chops, you're going to need to make charcoal. Put any wooden thing ever in the bottom here, including my wooden pickaxe, and cook it to make the furnace go. And if you cook wood, it gives you charcoal. And you use charcoal to cook pork chops, or steaks from cows, or fish if you're going fishing, and several other things to make food. Food is important because you can starve to death, depending on the difficulty mode. You can either starve to death, or you'll just starve down till you have half a heart left, and then anything that looks at you funny can kill you. Right? So, now that we've got some stone, we're going to make a better tool. We're going to make a stone pickaxe. A stone pickaxe has more durability. See the little green health bar on the axe? When that green health bar runs out, the tool breaks and you have to make a new one. Stone items have more durability than wooden items. After you find some, iron items have more durability than stone, and diamond has the highest of all. I really don't recommend making items out of gold because it breaks really fast and is pretty worthless. See how much faster it goes? Bam. 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 Alright, so now we got some more stone. We can go make a stone axe and get a bunch more wood to try and do something about the next really important part of survival mode Minecraft. That is dealing with nightfall. Nightfall comes when the sun goes all the way across the sky and sets. And that's when the monsters come out. And that's when most people have their first horrifying experience and say, screw this game. Dude. Way to get trees is just go around grabbing them all. If you can hear that squishy splashing noise, that's because there's a monster nearby. Underneath of us, somewhere fairly close, is a cave where it's dark enough for monsters to spawn. And that squishy splashing noise is what's called a slime, and it's a kind of monster. They're pretty useless in survival mode on vanilla, unless you want to make a thing called a sticky piston, which can push blocks around, and I'll show that in a little bit. But first we need to get some shelter sorted out so that we can stay away from the monsters at night. And actually, there's sheep over here. This turns out to be a really, really lucky starting area for demo purposes, because it lets me show you most of the things you need to know. You kill sheep, and they drop wool. You can put wool down like that. Just break it with your hand or any tool, and you can pick it right back up. But you need wool from sheeps to make a bed. Beds let you make nighttime not a bad thing. Bam. Give me your wool. These are mushrooms. You can also use them for food if you have two kinds of them. There are brown and red. You need both, and they're okay. Steaks are the best. Pork chops are the second best. Potatoes are pretty good too. Alright, so you notice how when we cut down the trees, there's all the leaves go away and there's a big open spot. And it's possible to run out of trees in the surrounding area. Well, you just plant the saplings by right-clicking them down on the ground, and you can make more trees. And it lets you keep your resource production up. These are what's called a renewable resource, since you can just keep making them. One tree will almost always drop more saplings than the one it took to make the tree. Alright, now if you notice, on the bottom right by where all the items are, the little food indicators are ticking away. As I'm running around and doing stuff, it's eating away at my hunger bar. So, I can eat a pork chop to fill it back up. Now, if you double tap forward, you can sprint, but it will eat extra food. Your health will also slowly regenerate while your food bar is full. If you're missing food, you won't regenerate health, which can be bad. And it's starting to get dark. So, let's hurry up and get this bed made. So put 3 planks on the bottom, 3 wool on the top for a mattress. Ta-da! We have a bed. Beds take 2 squares to place down, like thus. It's getting dark. Now, if you place a bed out in the open like this, there's a chance that when you sleep in it, monsters can spawn nearby if you let it get dark enough and show up and punch you out of the bed, and you're going to have a bad night. So we're going to see if we're going to have a bad night or not. So you sleep in the bed. And ta-da, it's morning, and you don't have to worry about monsters. It's the safest and easiest way to deal with your first night is find sheep. We lucked out because we've got sheep and pigs nearby. Get some more pork chops out of there. And let's make some more charcoal. Because once you've made the stone tools, you don't need the wooden tools. Alright. And that's pretty much the basics of your first starting out. Alright. Hopping into creative mode to fly around and show you some things. There are different biomes, which are different environments. So you see all this white stuff over here? This is sand. That's a desert biome. Those little green specks in the distance are cactus. You need them to make green dyes, and you can also use them to make basic fortifications. You can only plant them on sand. They can grow up to 3 blocks tall, and they cannot be placed right next to each other. So, let's see, cactus, I believe, is a decorative block. And it is. So, you cannot put cactus right next to each other. It has to have 1 square around it. So you can place them on diagonals, but you can't place them immediately next to each other. Cactus will also destroy items that touch them, like that. So, be very careful when you're playing around with cactus, because you can lose your stuff and never get it back. Alright. We got some mountainy biomes. Over here is what's, I believe, called savanna. It's got some boab trees and some more pigs. There's a decent amount of animals on this world. I wish several of my other single-player files have looked like this. Another thing that can randomly generate in the world is a village. Villages will be populated with these bizarre creatures that make that honking noise you can probably now hear, called villagers. Villagers' primary purpose is you can trade with them. They will take these items called emeralds and give you things for them. Or, let's see if we can find one. They will take things and give you emeralds. So the economy is based on which... what are they doing? These villagers are on speed. What is going on? Something ain't right here. That's not normal. Anyways, villages are also a good source, and the only easy source, of a food called carrots and a food called potatoes. So, potatoes, you can cook to make baked potatoes. Carrots, you can just eat raw. Carrots are the food needed to make pigs breed. So let's get a couple of piggies here. Show you how ranching works. Pigs get fed carrots, and it makes them get hearts. They bump on the face, and they make a baby pig. After 20 whole minutes, the baby pig will become an adult, at which point you can slaughter it for food, or you can breed it to make more pigs. Your call. Pigs eat carrots, sheep and cows eat wheat, dogs eat meat, and cats eat fish. If you want to be doing the animal breeding thing for livestock or decorative purposes. This is a swamp biome. You can tell by the vines all over everything. This stuff here is called gravel. Over here is one of the new biomes added in one of the most recent updates. It's called a dark oak forest. It has these dark oak wood blocks, these big fat trees So they're a pretty good source of wood. It takes a minute to mine them all, though. And giant Mario mushrooms. Mario mushrooms, when you break them, will drop lots of little mushrooms. But just like a tree, you only have to plant one little mushroom to make the big one. Now, outside of a mushroom-y biome like this, you can plant in a dark enough spot one mushroom and use a fertilizer component called bone meal that I'll show you how to make in a second to turn a regular mushroom into a giant mushroom. If you just want to grow regular mushrooms, you have to find a dark spot, plant them, and wait forever. And they will slowly spread out and randomly pick blocks nearby and grow like this. Mushrooms aren't a terribly amazing source of food because of how slow they grow and the dark rooms that are necessary, which make them prone to having monsters spawn in them. On a note of resources, you have this stuff. When you see these yellowish tan specks in the stone, that is iron ore. Okay. Iron ore can be mined with a stone or better pickaxe. So stone, diamond, gold will all mine iron. An iron pickaxe will as well, obviously. And when you take your iron back over to your crafting table, not your crafting table, furnace, pumpkins. Wow, we flew pretty far away. That's one of the things about creative mode. It's pretty easy to get lost. Normally you can't fly like this in vanilla. I have cheat codes turned on to make the video run smoother. You take iron, you put it in a furnace with charcoal. It will cook into ingots. And you use the ingots to make things. You use the ingots to make things like armor, better tools, and things like a flint and steel, which is used to start fires, as well as pistons. Pistons are interesting, not directly applicable to anything we're going to be doing. Not right off the bat. So, because I'm in creative mode, I can just cheat and make as much as I want of something. So, boom, 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 boom. Alright, to make armor, you're going to need boots, which are made like this. You're going to need pants, which are made like this. You're going to need a chest piece, which is made like this. And you're going to need a helmet, which is made like this. Typically, iron armor is tough enough that it will suit your needs. It also changes what you look like, so you can see the armor you're wearing. If you are very concerned about your appearance in vanilla, then you pretty much have to either wear leather armor or nothing. Because iron armor will always look like this, diamond armor will always look like diamond armor, and gold armor will always look like gold armor. Leather armor, however, can be dyed different colors and allow you to customize your appearance a little bit. I saw some over here. There we go. Another key resource is sugar. You use sugar canes to make lots of things. You can use sugarcane to make sugar to cook with, or you can use it to make paper, to make books with. You need books to start doing enchanting, and as well as to make decorative items called bookcases, which the village actually should have several of. Having a village this close to your spawn is a very desirable thing because not only do you have the villagers to trade with, you can pillage their houses for materials. So these bookshelves, when you break them with an axe, will drop books. Books have to be made out of paper and leather, so if you can find a village like this, you can just mine all the books out and not have to have a big cattle ranch in order to start doing enchanting. Okay. Boom, daytime. Cheats are amazing. Villages can also have a structure called a blacksmith and a church. Let's see, the church does not appear to have any hidden treasures inside of it. Yeah, the mods we play with on another server of mine add little treasure chests to these places. What are these villagers smoking? These are the craziest villagers I've ever seen, and I've seen some dumb ones. Maybe it's the gravel. So this material here is called gravel. It is one of only three blocks in the game that are affected by gravity. Okay, so sand, when you place it, will fall. If you break the block underneath of sand, it will fall. The same is true for gravel. And anvils. Anvils will take damage when you let them fall like that. See, a regular anvil has a clean top, and a broken anvil will have these patterns on it. And if you just let it keep falling, it can get more and more broken. And the more broken it gets until it's eventually useless. Anvils will also damage things that they fall on top of. So they're not great for making traps, but you can if you really want to. And let's see, what else is there for basics? Sheep don't drop food. They only drop wool. Caves. Here we go. Let's talk about caves. This is a bad cave because it's tiny. Caves can be a good way to find resources quickly because of the increased exposed surface area. Caves will let you see where the ore veins are more readily. There was a cave really close by over here. There we go. But they're dark and very prone to monster spawning. When you see a black spot like this, this is a bug. This isn't supposed to happen. It's the lighting failed to update correctly. They've been trying to fix it for more than a year that I'm aware of, and it still happens occasionally. Another resource you can get out of caves is coal. Coal is something you can use instead of charcoal to fuel your furnace. But it's non-renewable. You have to go find it and mine it out of the ground in walls like this. But as you can see right here, it's fairly common. I'm in creative mode, so the zombie won't attack me. You're going to need to make torches to light up caves to show you where the monsters are and stop new monsters from spawning. Because monsters only spawn where it's dark. So, as you can see, running around in a cave is a pretty decent way to find coal and iron in fairly large quantities without having to do a massive excavation on your own. Although this has a pretty decent amount of resources in it for a cave, it's a very small cave. So we'll go over to the cave next door. Caves are very, very common. And again, a very small cave. You can see there's flowers and plants all over the place. You can use the flowers to make different kinds of dye in order to color the wool to make any specific color you want for decorative purposes. And you can combine the different colors to make different colored dyes. The way to get black dye is by killing these guys out here, these squid. They can spawn in any water that's below sea level. So you can find cave squid. They're a thing. They're a weird thing, but a thing. Alright, over here's the house. It's not a house. So let's go down and... So, here's a cave. So when you dig down, never dig straight down like I just did, because that is a great way to get killed. You are very likely to find caves. They're very common. So as you're exploring and mining around, expect to find caves. If you don't, it's weird. And those cave systems may or may not be connected with each other. Bats serve no purpose. They're just to add ambience. Also, that grass should not be there. That's a bug. Red mushrooms occur underground in deep caves semi-frequently. And because it's dark, they will grow very fast in the natural environment, so they can be a good way to acquire a good number of those. These are tiny caves. What is going on with this server? Ah, here we go. Here is another type of cave structure called a ravine. Ravines are these long, tall, deep chasms, and may or may not have a giant pool of lava for the bottom. This one happens to. Alright. These are great ways to find resources, but can be extremely dangerous because you can fall into the lava and it will burn all your items and you'll never get them back. I also saw a skeleton over here somewhere. They also tend to be flooded. When you see water like this coming out of in a cave and you want to get rid of it, just put a block in front of it and all the water will clear away. Because there's only one source block and the rest of those were spill blocks, which is something we've talked about. See? These little waterfalls inside the caves are very common. Alright, back to the ravine. Alright, so a couple more kinds of resources. This is called lapis lazuli, and it is a blue dye. Several of the mod packs use it as a rare resource because it's non-renewable, it's consumable, and it's not super common. But when you do find it, you'll get a bunch. When you break one of these, it'll drop between, I think it's 2 and 6 pieces of lapis lazuli that you can use for a dye, or whatever it is that you're using in a mod pack. The same is true of this stuff. This is called redstone. Notice how when you jump on it, it makes little sparkle effects. When you mine redstone, you get redstone dust, which lets you do things fairly resembling electrical work. Oh, important note that I just accidentally taught myself. Sand will fall through lava before having an issue. You can also use sand to fill in a lava pit by just stacking it in. Same is true of gravel. When you break gravel, it has a chance to turn into a piece of flint, which you either need to make arrows or a flint and steel. And you need flints and steel to start fires. Mainly for destructive purposes, also for opening portals to the hell dimension. Zombie. Let's see, I don't see any gold or diamonds around. Let's find the gold and diamonds. I could just spawn some in, but that would be cheating, he says as he's flying around in creative mode. It is also common for two ravines to intersect each other like this, creating pretty interesting, long, and complicated, and easy to get lost in cave systems. So you should take great care and making sure you remember how to get out of any cave system you are in. It is semi-common to build markers. Oh, no, that's not what we want. This is. So if this is the way I came from, that's the way I got here. So now I know how to get home when I come back to this marker. Same thing here. That is the most common and easiest marker for finding your way back. You can do whatever you want as a navigational aid, however. Oh, here we go. There's a skeleton. Hello, Mrs. Skeleton. Where's that axe? Bam. 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 Now, when you kill a skeleton, skeletons will drop bones. You can turn bones into bone meal by simply going to a crafting grid. So, take the bone, put it in any crafting grid, and it turns into bone meal. Okay? And bone meal, I can't fly anymore. I turned creative mode off. There we go. So when you use bone meal on plants, it makes them grow faster. Remember how I was saying don't dig straight down? Also, don't dig straight up. Because if there was lava there, or sand, or gravel, it can fall and squish you and crush you to death, or burn you to death. Or if it's water, it could drown you. There are generally nasty things that can happen. Here's a slime. Slimes are the only way to get slime. And when you kill them, they turn into little ones. This is the infamous creeper. Hello, infamous creeper. Because I'm in creative mode, he won't explode. So, you get the slime balls, and you can use those to make things. Alright. Let's see whether or not this will work. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? You look like my best bet. Oh, nope. Not dark enough. Although, we can do an experiment, because these biomes here are new and I haven't got to play around with them a lot. Let's see whether or not this can show us how. Nope. Can't just plant them. Still got to be dark. But what we can do is show you how bone meal works on pretty much anything else. Okay, when you use bone meal on just grass, it makes grass and flowers. When you try to use it on a mushroom, it'll make the green sparklies, but because there's not enough room for it to turn into a giant mushroom, it won't. And you'll just waste your bone meal. Okay, let's do this. Alright, so farming is done by building a hoe in the crafting table. Where's our crafting table? This way. And right-clicking on dirt or grass near water, and it will turn into farmland. And if it's near enough to a source of water, which happens to be 4 blocks away, it will get hydrated and become hydrated farmland. Anytime now. There we go. Now, you can plant crops, seeds, on farmland. You can make pumpkin seeds. You can make melon seeds, which are pumpkins are found mainly in swamps, but possibly anywhere. Seeds are found from breaking regular grass, and melon seeds are only in jungle biomes, which I actually think there's one near here. But after you plant a seed, you can use bone meal on it to increase its growth. Now, for melons and pumpkins, when it turns yellow and that dark yellowy green color, that means it's done growing and can start making pumpkins. Pumpkins will grow around that in a similar pattern to where you cannot place things next to cactus. A pumpkin can grow here. Oh, see, look at that. It made a pumpkin right in front of me. That was weird. So, this stem will not grow another pumpkin until you harvest this one. And it'll just keep doing that. At least I thought there was a jungle nearby. I guess it's just this dark forest. It is also possible to acquire melon seeds from chests that occur in structures kind of like, see how the village gets made here? There are underground structures called abandoned mine shafts and dungeons. A dungeon will have a special thing in the middle of it called a monster spawner that will make monsters and have a chest or two with some loot in it. And spread around inside of abandoned mine shafts will be chests with loot in them, which can include melon seeds if you cannot find a jungle biome. What biomes you get, you can set in the options when you create the game, or you can just take whatever it randomly gives you. I have read that the update that made this new dark forest biome also made it very rare to get actual jungle biomes. Not sure why, but a possible reason could include the extreme value in survival mode of jungle trees. Jungle trees are made with jungle saplings, and when you place one down and hit it with bone meal, or just wait, it turns into a jungle tree. As you can see, it's quite a bit taller than the regular oak trees. But, unlike the regular oak trees, if you put it down in a 2x2 square, and then spam it with bone meal, you may have to clear all the grass from around it, because it's picky. There we go. Bam! You get big jungle trees. Now, big jungle trees have a ton of wood inside of them. And if you're patient, you can wait for these vines to grow all the way down them, and you can use the vines like a ladder and climb them. And you can climb all the way to the top. And the easiest way to mine jungle trees is to take the vines up to the top and mine your way down. Obviously, it will go much slower when you're actually mining them by hand. Now, you have to make sure that when you find these branched off platforms, you get all of the wood out of those, otherwise the leaves won't go away and will interfere with new jungle trees growing. 4 is a magic number for growth radiuses. Radii. So just like farmland will hydrate 4 blocks away, leaves can grow up to 4 blocks away from the wood, and when you break the wood from 4 blocks away, the leaves start despawning. See how much wood there is in these things? There's a significant quantity. Now, jungle trees are a little bit harder to do farms with. One, because of how big they are, and two, because they drop far fewer saplings. It's entirely possible that this tree, if you were to mine it down, would not drop any. So, jungle trees are important for the quantity of wood they can provide, but risky due to the fact that you may not be able to surplus enough saplings to keep your plantation going. So that's something to watch out for. That's pretty much the basics. Okay. Bye.